Part 42. The Lucky Bag is Reborn with Space. Author, Floating World. Chapter 411. Chapter 411, Sprained Foot. Zhang Xiaoxiao and Song Moding moved back to the Song family. It's not that they don't want to live a two-person world, but they are about to start school, and they can't live at home for a few days. It's just for the happiness of the old man and the old lady. Song Moding carried the luggage and sent it there, and would come back to pick up Zhang Xiaoxiao later. Zhang Xiaoxiao waved his hand and watched Song Moding walk away before preparing to go back to the house. My parents and grandparents went to meet the parents of my uncle's fiancée today. The age of my uncle is put there, and marriage is on the agenda. I have met my aunt Zhang Xiaoxiao once before, but she is not the Meng Qinjiao in front of me. I feel quite relieved. As long as he is not the aunt from before, at least the uncle does not have to leave his wife and children. Ouch! Someone fell down behind him, accompanied by a groaning sound. Zhang Xiaoxiao turned around and saw a middle-aged man who had fallen on the side of the road. It looked like he had sprained his foot. He was holding his leg in pain and smiling bitterly. She walked over and said, "How are you? If you trust me, I can show you. I have studied medicine." Zhang Xiaoxiao felt that her Mary's disease had recurred, and she could not spend her whole life treating illnesses and saving people. Her lifelong professional ethics did not allow her to sit idly by. Wu Weiguo looked at Zhang Xiaoxiao. "Okay, I just can't get up." Zhang Xiaoxiao bent down and carefully inspected his ankle. It must have been twisted, and it was already swollen as fast as the naked eye could see. "You need to apply a cold compress like this. Otherwise, I will help you to my house first, and I will give you an ice compress. You can leave when you feel better, or I can call your family and ask them to pick you up." This man does not look like a blackmailer. He is well dressed. He is wearing a woolen tunic and a woolen coat. His leather shoes are also shiny. Everything shows that this man has a good status. She doesn't have the intention to please, she just wants to help. Wu Weiguo nodded gently, "Then I'm sorry to trouble you." Hand out his hand, he gestured to Zhang Xiaoxiao to help him. Zhang Xiaoxiao paused. This man really didn't know how to be polite. He looked like he was used to being praised by everyone. Forget it, don't think too much about doing good deeds. Just bend down and help Wu Weiguo up. Fortunately, this man is not dead. Otherwise she would give up and still have a child in her belly. No one can compare to her own child. Zhang Xiaoxiao would definitely not do anything that would harm the child. Helping Wu Weiguo into her big yard, she still had to walk 2 alleys to get to her parents. She didn't want the trouble. Anyway, Song Moding will be back in less than an hour. Thanks to the Chinese New Year, the weather is cold and the water tank in the kitchen has already frozen. The two of them hardly cook. They are so close to Fan Qiuying. If they open fire by themselves, Fan Qiuying should be angry. The kitchen has become a decoration, and the water tank has automatically become a decoration. Zhang Xiaoxiao went directly to cut off the ice, wrapped it in a towel, and then put it on Wu Weiguo's feet. It's a good thing that the ice is not thick, otherwise she would have gone to find ice cubes somewhere else. Wu Weiguo held the towel by himself and looked at the furnishings in the room. The furniture and decorations in the house show that the family has put great care into it. They have at least put a lot of thought into tidying up the house to make it comfortable and warm. Zhang Xiaoxiao poured him a cup of hot tea. "Comrade, what's your surname? Give me your home phone number and I'll make a call and ask your family to pick you up. Otherwise, you might not be able to walk back in this condition. Even if you can walk back, your feet will probably hurt. The swelling is getting worse, and applying ice now is of no use." Wu Weiguo named a number. Zhang Xiaoxiao paused. "Isn't this Wu Fei's phone number? Who is this Wu Fei?" "Sir, what's your surname?" "My surname is Wu, Wu Weiguo." When you call her, tell her that I am her uncle. She will definitely come over immediately. Zhang Xiaoxiao smiled, hello, Uncle Wu, Wu Fei is actually my friend. I didn't expect you to be Wu Fei's uncle. Well, I'll call her first, and you can sit down first. What a coincidence. Wu Weiguo watched Zhang Xiaoxiao turn around to make a phone call, his eyes a little moist. This child was raised very well. Although she did not grow up with her biological parents, her adoptive parents must have been very good to her. This child has a cheerful personality, is very helpful, and is kind-hearted. These qualities can be seen in Yehua. This child does not look like Yehua's daughter at all. Thanks for not being like Yehua, if he were as selfish and sinister as Yehua. He doesn't even know how to face his daughter. Wu Fei was shocked on the other end of the phone when she heard that her uncle was at Zhang Xiaoxiao's house. There is also such a fate, my uncle doesn't like to go out on weekdays, but this time he got injured when he went out, and Zhang Xiaoxiao forced him to go home. Seeing Wu Fei put down the phone, Mrs. Wu asked her granddaughter. What's wrong with your uncle? I just heard something vaguely talking about my eldest son on the phone, and I got interested. Wu Fei happily rushed over and hugged the old lady's arm. Grandma, let me tell you, there are such coincidences in the world. My uncle went out today for some reason and accidentally sprained his ankle. He happened to meet Zhang Xiaoxiao, and Xiaoxiao took him home. Apply ice now, call me and ask me to bring uncle back. Mrs. Wu's eyes flashed, her eldest son, Dr. Zhang. Is this a coincidence? Her son and Zhang Xiaoxiao were almost carved out of the same mold. Although her son would not admit it, she always doubted what kind of relationship Zhang Xiaoxiao had with her eldest son. Now the eldest son's sprained ankle is well around Zhang Xiaoxiao's home. The old lady herself doesn't believe it if there is nothing in it. Grandma will go with you. Dr. Zhang has saved Xiao Cheng and is a good friend of you. Reasonable and reasonable, we should all go there. This time, Dr. Zhang will help your uncle again. If Grandma doesn't go, I will feel really sad. I can't let go of my regrets. Wu Fei opened her mouth. That was not what she meant. She did not want her grandma to accompany her. What kind of thing is it that during the Chinese New Year, he mobilized all the troops and asked grandma to follow him to Zhang Xiaoxiao's house? Zhang Xiaoxiao is living a good life, but if he has to carry such a big mountain of elders over, he still has to entertain them. Sigh, but grandma said she wanted to see the uncle. What can she do? It must be that grandma cares about the uncle and is worried that there is something wrong with his feet. It's not like she doesn't know that the person who cares about her uncle the most in the family is her grandmother. I should have known that. I should not have been so arrogant just now. The old lady prepared a lot of gifts, and the two asked the driver to take them to the alley of Zhang Xiaoxiao's home. Zhang Xiaoxiao is cooking at the moment. There was nothing he could do. Uncle Wu asked him unceremoniously that he was hungry and could he get him something to eat. Looking at Uncle Wu, who was looking at him eagerly, Zhang Xiaoxiao suddenly remembered that a golden retriever he once raised always looked at what he wanted to eat with such eyes. Well, it's really inappropriate to compare Uncle Wu and golden retriever, but the eyes of both of them are the same, so let's just make some food. End of this chapter. The lucky bag is reborn with space. Author, Floating World. Chapter 412. Chapter 412. You look very much like my uncle. Make a bowl of noodles with ready-made items in the kitchen, which are actually boiled noodles. She is not willing to make dough by hand, mainly because there are not many things here. Of course, the seasoning for this bowl of noodles can only be made do, because there are indeed few things in the kitchen, and she and Song Moding do not open fire in the kitchen. At most, sometimes when we are hungry in the middle of the night, the two of us can make a late-night snack, but such opportunities are rare. So the things in the kitchen are not very good, as you can imagine. Although it is boiled noodles in plain water, It only contains 2 fat white eggs and some fresh vegetables taken from my own space. Finally, add chopped green onion to the pot, and the flavor will come out immediately. Zhang Xiaoxiao brought this bowl of hot pot noodles to Wu Weiguo, feeling puzzled in his heart. She couldn't smell the fumes these days, but she didn't expect any reaction when she choked on the pot today. As soon as he placed the noodles in front of Wu Weiguo, Zhang Xiaoxiao knew that he was overthinking it. I thought this child was good and obedient today, but I never thought that this child would really know how to choose the right time. As soon as the bowl was put down, Zhang Xiaoxiao covered his mouth and ran out. Wu Weiguo heard the sound of Zhang Xiaoxiao vomiting outside the yard, and was particularly worried. What happened to the child? He limped his injured foot and poured a glass of warm water for Zhang Xiaoxiao, hoping to send it out. Zhang Xiaoxiao had already tidied herself up. Anyway, she knew that every time the child was struggling, as long as she vomited almost all the contents in her stomach, she would feel much better. Seeing Wu Weiguo hand over the water glass with a worried look on his face. I'm a little sorry, but this Uncle Wu is a good person. Look at the worry that he has frightened others. Uncle Wu, everything is fine. Please eat quickly. Took the water glass, rinsed his mouth, spit it out, and then drank half the glass of water. Indeed, my stomach feels much better now. Wu Weiguo was worried and nagging. Although you are still very young, if you feel unwell, you should still go to the hospital, otherwise, a minor illness will turn into a serious illness. Zhang Xiaoxiao smiled. Uncle Wu, there's really nothing wrong with me, I know my own body, don't worry, try the noodles I made, there are only dried noodles at home, so just eat a little. Wu Weiguo was still worried, so Wu Fei and the others knocked on the door. Xiaoxiao, I am Wu Fei. Zhang Xiaoxiao hurriedly opened the door. When he opened the door, he saw Mrs. Wu Fei, and the large and small bags in the driver's hands. He was startled. Looked at Wu Fei with questioning eyes. Wu Fei shrugged helplessly. As soon as my grandma heard that my uncle sprained his ankle here, she didn't rush to visit you. Let me tell you, my uncle is my grandma's heart treasure. Just tell me, she immediately came to thank you with big and small bags and gifts. Thank you. Helped my uncle. Mrs. Wu glanced at her granddaughter with dissatisfaction. Who said that about her grandma? He smiled at Zhang Xiaoxiao and said, Dr. Zhang, my wife is here, so I won't disturb you. As soon as she saw this girl, the old lady couldn't help but feel excited. The main reason was that this child reminded people of her own son when he was a child. The more she looked at it, the more she felt like it. They were exactly the same. Zhang Xiaoxiao responded politely. No, old lady, please come in quickly. It's so cold outside. I'll pour you a cup of tea. Uncle Wu is eating in the house. He probably didn't eat on the way just now. It's cold outside and my feet are wet, so don't be dissatisfied if you make a simple meal. Old Mrs. Wu smiled and patted Jiang's small hand. Quickly, stop working. Come and accompany my old lady into the house. Let's sit down and talk. Zhang Xiaoxiao was dragged away, and Wu Fei saw that she was alone and thrown outside the house. I thought sadly and angrily, is this my grandma? Is it possible that you picked it up? The poor man followed behind and entered the house. Wu Weiguo saw his mother and niece come in, and then saw his mother pulling Zhang Xiaoxiao with a smile on her face. I immediately understood in my heart that the old lady was too smart. The old lady must have noticed the clues about what she had done, otherwise she would not have been able to go to the house of someone who was running away like this. The old lady looked at Zhang Xiaoxiao and Wu Weiguo. Without the old lady saying a word, Wu Fei screamed next to them. Oh my God, Xiaoxiao, you are not my uncle's daughter, are you? Why do you and my uncle look exactly the same? Look at the eyebrows, including the forehead, they are almost exactly the same. My uncle was a handsome guy when he was young. It is said that he is also a handsome man. How many girls are chasing after him? Zhang Xiaoxiao looked at Wu Weiguo suspiciously. Does it look like yourself? It shouldn't be. She did not remember that the Wu family had ever searched for her granddaughter in her previous life, and this incident had never occurred in her previous life. She always thought she was a child of the Fang family. After all, she had tested DNA. She and Yehuana are absolutely biological mother and daughter. Yes, I have only tested Yehua, but not Fang Ziwen. Could it be that she was not Fang Ziwen's daughter, and Yehua cuckolded Fang Ziwen? But Yehua and Wu Weiguo are not the same people. Although I don't know Wu Weiguo very well, I can tell it from how he treated people and spoke just now. This person is a very qualified and educated person, and he is generous and kind to others. Compared with a selfish, arrogant, and domineering person like Yehua, this person is simply not in the same class at all. Even Zhang Xiaoxiao himself finds it incredible that two people have this kind of relationship between a man and a woman. Is it possible that Uncle Wu likes Yehua's type? This is too ridiculous. Zhang Xiaoxiao smiled and said, "Stop talking nonsense. Old lady, please sit down quickly." Took Wu Fei and went to the kitchen to pour water. Wu Fei was dragged to the kitchen in confusion. "Wu Fei, you are such an adult, you can't always speak freely. If you say this, your uncle and grandma will be so embarrassed." Zhang Xiaoxiao poured tea and scolded Wu Fei. She was 100% sure that she could not be Uncle Wu's child. With Uncle Wu's character, if she really got together with Yehua, then she would really look down on Uncle Wu. Yehua is pretty, but not so pretty. As far as Yehua's scheming methods are concerned, he can't even deal with himself, let alone a family like the Wu family. The fact that Yehua did not marry into the Wu family shows that the Wu family must look down on Yehua. With Yehua's vision of being a master but a master, how could he possibly marry Fang Ziwen if someone from the Wu family could catch up? Wu Fei is still not convinced about being left out. "Xiao Xiao, why don't you believe me? You really look a lot like my uncle. If you don't believe me, ask my grandma later. I'm not lying. There's nothing embarrassing about it. There's nothing wrong with looking alike. There are many similar people in this world, this is called fate, do you understand?" Zhang Xiaoxiao was speechless. This child lacked education. End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Lucky Bag is Reborn with Space. Author, Floating World. Chapter 413. Chapter 413 Can't Recognize. Old Mrs. Wu looked at her son who was eating delicious food. "Boss, what's going on? Don't lie to me about sprained feet or anything like that. I don't believe it. Just now when I looked at the two faces, one big and one small, the old lady was almost in tears. If she said that this child had nothing to do with their family, she wouldn't believe it to death." Wu Weiguo sighed, "This matter would be a huge scandal. Mom, Zhang Xiaoxiao is my daughter." Zhang Xiaoxiao's life experience finally came to light. Old Mrs. Wu asked with tears in her eyes. "Since it's our child, let's recognize the child and see how close this child is to our family. He is a good friend with Wu Fei, and saved our small town again. You say that this is not the seat of our Wu family. Even your father praised this child's medical skills. You didn't know that Mr. Feng liked this child and wanted to take him home and become a student." Mrs. Wu was so happy that she wanted to go out and immediately pull Zhang Xiaoxiao in and tell the child that she was her grandma, her own grandma. Wu Weiguo shook his head and sighed, "You just asked if this child is my child, but you didn't ask who the child's mother is." The old lady realized something was wrong. If the mother of the child was from an ordinary background, Wu Weiguo would not ask himself this question. Who is this child's biological mother? Wu Weiguo wiped the stains from the corners of his mouth, with a mocking expression on his lips. It's Yehua. Old Mrs. Wu exclaimed. Yehua? How is that possible? Fang Ziwen, the wife of the second eldest son of the Fang family, didn't have a good relationship with you. You. This is simply the interference of a third party. To put it bluntly, it is called indiscriminate relations between men and women. But the old lady couldn't say this. This was the son she valued most. No matter what the truth was about that incident back then. Whether the son was wronged was true, but the son was given 20 years as compensation. Whether it is merit or demerit, the son's matter should be settled. But she didn't believe that her son would do such a thing. Wu Weiguo raised his head and looked at his mother. Yehua conspired with others to set a trap for me and had with me after I was drunk. He originally wanted to use this to blackmail me. But he didn't expect that I didn't care about it at all, so that's why the following thing. That thing was a trap set by others. I just didn't expect that Yehua would actually have my child. Moreover, this woman had a vicious mind. After having the child, she pretended to be the Fang family's child and stayed pregnant until she gave birth. She secretly changed the child when she was in the hospital. Had this child not been so lucky, he would have died long ago. When Wu Weiguo thought of what Yehua, a woman, had done to his daughter, he really wished that this woman would disappear from this world. Although this woman is almost dead now, she still can't understand the hatred in her heart. Mrs. Wu suddenly realized, no wonder I have been hearing rumors that the little biological mother is Yehua, a child of the Fang family. It turns out that there is such a thing, and this Yehua is really not a thing. She deliberately changed the child. She knew that the child was not a member of the Fang family. This kid is really miserable. Think about what happened to Zhang Xiaoxiao. Although many of them were rumors, Mrs. Wu felt very distressed. Every child of the Wu family is like growing up in a honeypot. Which child has not been pampered by his parents since childhood? But his eldest daughter was abandoned by her own mother, and her biological father didn't know about it at all. Although she heard that her adoptive father and mother were good to her, she also knew that her adoptive father and mother had many children, so how could they be so comprehensive and considerate of every child? Take care of them all. This child still doesn't know how much he has been wronged. Then what are you going to do now? The identity and position of this child are now very embarrassing. If this child is identified, the relationship between Yehua and Wu Weiguo will be revealed. Wu Weiguo can finally live a peaceful life now. If this relationship is revealed, people will not think that it was Yehua's design or something, but will only think that the two of them have some improper relationship. People's words are fearful, and when the time comes, these things may not be how they will be spread. The reputation of the Wu family has completely disappeared, and the Fang family is not much better. I am afraid that the Fang family will hate the Wu family to death. But I don't admit it, Zhang Xiaoxiao is the most innocent. In this matter, she did nothing wrong, she just encountered an unscrupulous mother. The old lady couldn't bear it. The Wu family's flesh and blood were scattered outside. Her son finally had a child, but he still couldn't recognize him. What is this thing called? Wu Weiguo shook his head and looked outside. He could still hear the voices of Zhang Xiaoxiao and Wu Fei in the kitchen. Crisp and tactful, soft and calm. This child is very similar to me, he is not in a hurry when things happen, and this child is really lovable. There is no way not to like this daughter. I will deal with Yehua and she will keep her mouth shut, but I can't recognize her. If I recognize her, the child will have to bear the reputation of an adulterer. Even worse than an illegitimate child. This is what I am already like. I can't let this child follow me and suffer. Now that she has married into the Song family, her future life has begun to be smooth, and the Song family will protect her. Moreover, Mr. Feng, Mr. Song, and Mr. Meng all recognized her so much. This child has a bright future. As a father, I have never raised her for a day, and I don't want to drag her down anymore because of myself. As long as she lives a good life, it doesn't matter whether she recognizes her or not. Wu Weiguo's words gave this matter a final word, and Mrs. Wu's face was filled with confusion. This is the eldest's only child. If you don't recognize him now, the boss will be alone in the future. It is too cruel to not be able to recognize each other even though she is her biological daughter. Old Mrs. Wu started to cry. Mom, don't be like this, the children will think something is going on for a while, Mom. Wu Weiguo hurriedly advised. Zhang Xiaoxiao and Wu Fei actually heard it, and they came in with teacups. The old lady's eyes were red, and she looked like she had cried. Wu Fei was dumbfounded. Grandma. What are you doing? Why are you crying? Zhang Xiaoxiao served the old lady tea with a calm expression. The old lady must have sand in her eyes. It's like this when the weather is windy. Just take a mouthful of sand. Old Mrs. Wu looked at her biological granddaughter, but she couldn't help it, and her tears fell again. He was turned away, covering his face and crying. Zhang Xiaoxiao couldn't help it now. His attempt to smooth things over was a complete failure. Zhang Xiaoxiao felt sick in his chest and rushed out in a hurry. Wu Fei also went out, and Zhang Xiaoxiao looked very bad. What's wrong with you? Why do you vomit like this? Zhang Xiaoxiao shook his head. It's okay. Wu Fei is extremely worried. Otherwise, I'll take you to the hospital for a checkup. You don't look like you're fine at all. Take her to the hospital, this won't work. Wu Weiguo and Mrs. Wu both came out. Seeing Zhang Xiaoxiao like this, Wu Weiguo looked worried. The child had vomited twice in front of him, which didn't seem to be okay. End of this chapter. The lucky bag is reborn with space. Author, Floating World. Chapter 414. Chapter 414, Hurt Each Other. Zhang Xiaoxiao stood up and waved his hands. I'm really fine. I really don't need it. Don't be like this. Physical matters can be big or small. You'll make people worry if you do this. Don't worry, I'll call Mr. Feng to make sure everything is properly arranged. Wu Fei got up and left. Zhang Xiaoxiao had no choice but to hold the person back in embarrassment. Don't go, I'm pregnant, it's not a disease. You have to say it yourself. Everyone present was stunned. Mrs. Wu opened her mouth wide and stared at Jiang's small belly. My own son is about to have a grandson. Wu Weiguo's eyes were soft and he spoke in a gentle tone. Then you'd better go inside and rest. It's really me who disturbed you today. Otherwise you wouldn't be like this. You should take good care of your own body, and don't do these things to help others in the future. It is important to take good care of yourself and your children. Wu Weiguo worriedly remembered that Zhang Xiaoxiao was holding him back. Zhang Xiaoxiao smiled and said, it's okay, you can't be so squeamish, you're too worried. Pregnant women in this era often work until they give birth, and only rest during the days leading up to delivery. Who has given birth to several children like this? What reason does she have to be so squeamish? Wu Weiguo thought worriedly, then let's say goodbye. I can't disturb you anymore. I have disturbed you for a long time today. I hope you and Wu Fei can go to my place to play if you have time. Zhang Xiaoxiao breathed a sigh of relief after sending the three people away. This family is really strange. Especially when the old lady was crying just now, she always had a very bad feeling in her heart. According to her guess, is it possible that she really has something to do with Wu Weiguo? She smiled bitterly. Even if she was really related to Wu Weiguo, she was Wu Weiguo's daughter. Wu Weiguo's attitude just now was not to recognize his relatives. Since he did not recognize her, it proves that there is something unspeakable inside. My own life experience is really complicated, and it really fits the twists and turns of the heroine. Wu Fei sent her grandma and uncle back to her old house, and her grandma asked her to go home by herself. Grandma said that she and her uncle were staying here today. In view of her grandma's love for her uncle, Wu Fei had to go home in despair. However, I was very happy to know that my good friend was pregnant. It seemed that I would be an aunt soon, and my best friend could be considered an aunt after all. Wu Fei decided to buy a gift for Zhang Xiaoxiao. She was the godmother of this child. Su Meng and Wu Pingjing are discussing Xiaokeng's surgery. Xiaokeng's current situation is so good that it's hard to believe that even Mr. Feng suggested that it would be best to invite Zhang Xiaoxiao for consultation. The child is recovering very well and is getting stronger day by day. Mr. Feng felt that if he did not undergo a heart transplant, the child's physical condition would be fine. But the couple is worried that if the child does not undergo this operation, if the child becomes serious in the future, it will not be so easy to find such a good source of heart disease. Wu Pingjing was also worried. There won't be any medicine tomorrow. Let's take advantage of our opportunity to meet Dr. Zhang to discuss with Dr. Zhang and take a look at Xiaokeng's physical condition should we have surgery. The two of them admired Zhang Xiaoxiao very much. Zhang Xiaoxiao listens to everything. Su Meng nodded, don't worry, I saved it, and there is also the appearance that Dr. Zhang wants. You can prepare it for her and hand it over to Dr. Zhang tomorrow. I didn't expect Dr. Zhang to be so big-hearted. Open your own hospital. But for Dr. Chang Jiang's ability, I think we should strongly support him. No matter what, being a good friend with Zhang Xiaoxiao is better than becoming an enemy with Zhang Xiaoxiao. Such people will be very powerful in the future. Think about it, this Dr. Zhang is only 19 years old now. At the age of 19, he already has such means, and he is still a student who has not officially entered a medical university. Just thinking about it, I feel that Dr. Zhang will have a bright future. What a promising future. Third brother and third sister-in-law, who are you talking about here? Why do I hear this person being said to be amazing by you? Wu Pingxian took her husband home with her. She is a pediatrician, and her husband makes medical devices. The couple actually lives in Haishi. This is not the new year every year. The couple traveled thousands of miles from Haishi to Beijing to celebrate the festival with the old man. Of course, this kind of treatment is due to the status of the old man and the old lady. We are talking about the doctor in Xiaocheng. The Dr. Zhang who has been giving medicine to Xiaocheng is only 19 years old and has no medical qualifications. He is a freshman in medical school this year. I mean, this Dr. Zhang will definitely have a bright future in the future. Limited. Su Meng couldn't stop praising him when he talked about it. I can't wait to praise Zhang Xiaoxiao. Wu Pingxian disagreed, third brother and third sister-in-law, although I can't do much to help Xiaocheng get sick, we are our own family members, and we still have to advise you. Although it seems that this so-called ancestral secret recipe of Dr. Zhang is very effective. But what I'm worried about is that these so-called ancestral secret recipes have stimulated all the energy in Xiaokeng's body. What I'm afraid of is that once the stimulating effect wears off, the child may have other side effects. You'd better be more careful. I don't believe that there are any people who are born with talents and are self-taught. You trust a freshman in medical school who hasn't even graduated yet? What should I say to you? You were so sick that you rushed to the doctor. Meng Ran coughed uncomfortably. His wife was like this every time, she couldn't help pouring cold water on others. Third brother, third sister-in-law Xianxian actually doesn't mean anything else. She also hopes that the town will be better, but we still have to be careful. What can my daughter-in-law do about this? If he doesn't protect her, who will? Su Meng's face was not good looking. The situation in her small town was getting better day by day. Everyone said that the small town was getting better and better. My sister-in-law poured cold water on herself when she came back, and she said it as if she wished their little town would die. Isn't this just poking someone's lungs? Hit someone without slapping someone in the face, and expose someone without exposing their shortcomings. How can anyone do this? She is an only daughter in the family, but she cannot be used to this. This emotional intelligence is thanks to the position of the parents-in-law. Otherwise, just her mouth might have offended so many people to death. Su Meng is not someone to be trifled with, come on. Then just hurt each other. Don't worry about Xiao Cheng. No matter what Xiao Cheng says, our parents are worried. But you two have been together for many years, so it's time to have a child. Xiao Meng, that has been passed down to their family for several generations. If this happens again, without a child, the old man must be very anxious. This time it really hit a sore spot for Wu Pingxian. She is already 33 years old this year, but she has been married for 13 years and still has no children. Her husband was a single-generation son, and the Meng family had difficulty in producing heirs. When it came to her, she didn't even give birth to a daughter. The old man and the old lady of the Meng family have been jumping anxiously for a long time. If Meng Ran hadn't been devoted to her, the old man and the old lady would have forced them to divorce. Sister-in-law, this is intentional. End of this chapter. The lucky bag is reborn with space. Author, Floating World. Chapter 415. Chapter 415. If not, then there won't be. Wu Pingxian glared at the third sister-in-law angrily. Third sister-in-law, what do you mean? If you say that, you don't mean to rub salt into my wounds. Do I not want to have children? I don't know how many medicines I have taken and how many surgeries have been performed over the years. But just to see not good. Wu Pingjing also glanced at his daughter-in-law. His son was her daughter-in-law's name. Her sister's words just now must have made her unhappy. Otherwise, it cannot be said. But this is also my sister, the palms and backs of her hands are all flesh. Okay, your sister-in-law didn't do it on purpose, she just cares about you. Wu Pingxian scolded angrily, sister-in-law, is this concern? Why do I sound a bit gloating about my misfortune? If you were concerned, instead of helping me find a way to find a doctor in this field, you would poke my lungs with these words. Still unwilling to give up. Su Meng slowly picked up the tea. Little sister, don't say that. My sister-in-law actually helped you find a way to find a doctor in this field. This Dr. Zhang is very powerful and can see everything. Your brother and I just said, don't he was only 19 years old, and his surgery was top-notch. Even Mr. Feng wished he could be his student. This is it, and people are still not happy about it. I originally wanted to ask Dr. Zhang to take a look at it. After all, this secret recipe passed down from generation to generation is very effective. But I didn't expect that with my opening my mouth, you would degrade Dr. Zhang to this level. How can you ask me to speak? Wu Pingxian felt that the third sister-in-law definitely did it on purpose. This so-called Dr. Zhang obviously doesn't even have the qualifications to practice medicine. You introduce such a doctor to me. Do you think we dare to take the medicine she prescribes? Give back the secret recipe passed down from our ancestors. That secret recipe passed down from our ancestors can cure Xiao Keng's disease. That's not a blind cat meeting a dead mouse. It's not like I haven't tried the secret recipes handed down from our ancestors in the past few years. Those so-called secret recipes passed down from our ancestors cost a lot of money to make them mysterious, but they still have no effect after eating them. I really don't believe in this ancestral secret recipe. Su Meng was also so angry that he actually said that his son was a blind cat that encountered a dead mouse. Who is the blind cat and who is the dead mouse? Too bullying. Okay, if you don't believe it, throw it away. Anyway, I will see Dr. Zhang tomorrow, and I have a friend whose family has been single generation for several generations. In his generation, there have never been children. The doctor has also done examinations and treatments. There has never been a way to have a child. Leave it to me to find a solution. I'm going to take him to see Dr. Zhang tomorrow. You don't believe in the secret recipe handed down from your ancestors, but some people do. I hope you won't regret it then. Maybe this blind cat can actually encounter a dead mouse, which is better than some people who can't even encounter a dead mouse. I won't regret it. Your unscrupulous doctor doesn't even have a medical license. I don't want to meet such a dead rat at all. Wu Pingxian angrily pulled Meng Ran upstairs. Wu Pingjing sighed, "Tell me how old you are, and you still argue with your sister. She only comes back for 2 months a year. How long can you stay at home, and you still insist on being so angry with her?" Su Meng said unconvinced, "Your sister is indeed in need of discipline. Look at what she said. Dr. Ming Jiang's ancestral secret recipe is so miraculous. Mr. Song's illness has been cured, and Mr. Kang's legs have healed. It's a lot better because of this ancestral secret recipe. These are all facts that happen around us, and the actual cases are here. Our small town is right, right? Who is Mr. Feng? If this ancestral secret recipe has any bad effects, Mr. Feng dares to give it to our small town?" Mr. Feng was patting his chest there. "Let's beg Grandpa and Grandma to finally cure Xiao Keng's body. You don't know what Xiao Cheng will be like. How can a blind cat meet a dead mouse? When it reaches your sister's mouth, it turns into a blind cat meeting a dead mouse. I still want her to take a look. What will happen if this blind cat encounters a dead mouse?" Su Meng was really choked up. Wu Pingjing could not persuade him. Looks like he is very angry. Su Meng actually called her friend and made an appointment to meet Zhang Xiaoxiao tomorrow. Wu Pingxian and Meng Ran went upstairs and slammed the door. Meng Ran still doesn't know that his wife has such a temper that most people can't stand. That is, myself. I have really liked Xian for so many years, otherwise how could I have tolerated her until now? Look at what my sister-in-law said. No matter how you say it, I am still my brother's sister. Isn't this just a sincere stab at my lungs? She thinks I don't want a child. I also want a child. At least it can be regarded as an explanation to you. Every time I see your dad and your mom talking about other people's children and looking at me, I feel really good. But what can I do? I have taken so many medicines and seen so many doctors, but in the end I still have this result." Wu Pingxian cried and lay on the bed. Meng Ran comforted her and said, "Your sister-in-law said that and poked your lungs. But when you said that just now, have you ever thought that your sister-in-law felt better after hearing it? She just treats a child like a treasure. From then on, he was born with this heart disease, and it took a long time until now, but the child is finally getting better. When it comes into your mouth, it turns into a blind cat and a dead mouse. If this child is your child, think about it, what should you do when you hear this? I'm afraid you're going to jump up and point at other people's noses and scold them. I don't think your sister-in-law is wrong. Don't always look down on others, even if they are 19 years old. However, our country is so big and there are so many capable people and strangers. It's not like there aren't folk miracle doctors who haven't passed the medical qualification exam, and it's not like you haven't seen them before. I always look down on others. In this regard, your sister-in-law is also driven by you. Otherwise, you can't say this out of anger." Meng Ran discussed the matter as it happened. He doted on his wife, but he did not tolerate everything unconditionally and without a bottom line. Wu Pingxian is also a person who can listen to what is said, which is why the two of them have been able to harmonize with each other until now. Wu Pingxian pouted, "I know that every time I encounter something like this, you can always find something wrong with me. Okay, I know I was wrong. I shouldn't have said that to my sister-in-law just now. But now she also tell me, it's finally evened out. They really hurt each other. Meng Ran smiled and hugged his wife tightly. Your biggest advantage is that you make mistakes quickly and admit mistakes quickly. You can quickly and correctly recognize your own problems. Okay, wait a while, go down and admit your mistakes to your sister-in-law during dinner. Wu Pingxian leaned in her husband's arms. Said dully. Meng Ran, do you have a grudge because I have never had a child? I know that your parents, including you, really want a child. In your hearts, it doesn't matter whether you are male or female, as long as you have one child, but I just happen to be like this. I don't know why this body has such a problem. I really feel sorry for you, the Meng family. Meng Ran touched his wife's hair and rested his chin on the top of her hair. Don't think so much. If you don't have children, you won't have children. For me, if you don't have children, I will spoil you alone. Anyway, I can't live without you in this life. You can't live without me either. If God decides that we will have no children after all, then forget it. Just pretend that we are not so lucky. Don't keep thinking about this and live your life. Wu Pingxian lowered her head and said nothing, secretly deciding to go to her sister-in-law to apologize. If Dr. Zhang can really cure him, he will believe in the secret recipe handed down from his ancestors. Let's treat a dead horse as a living horse, doctor. End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Lucky Bag is reborn with space. Author, Floating World. Chapter 416. Chapter 416. Seeing a doctor. Everyone at the breakfast table was busy eating. The Wu family is very particular about eating, talking, and sleeping. My wife was not at home, and Mr. Wu was not enjoying his meal. He ate just 2 bites and then left, saying he was going to see Mr. Kong to play chess. There were only Su Meng and Wu Pingxian at the table, and Wu Fei had gone out. Wu Fei's parents are working overtime in the hospital. Su Meng lowered her head to eat without saying a word, preparing to leave after eating to see her son in the hospital. There are still many things going on today. Wu Pingxian hesitated to speak. Her sister-in-law's attitude made her embarrassed. Clenched her teeth and added the encouraging look Meng Ran gave her. Third sister-in-law, what happened yesterday was my fault. I meant what I said, but I didn't mean what I said. I really didn't mean to say that. When I say it, I feel much more relaxed. Su Meng was stunned and looked up at her sister-in-law suspiciously. Sister-in-law, apologize. Is this just a daydream? Actually, I was wrong today. I was too mean in my words. Su Mengjian responded insincerely. When someone apologized, she shouldn't respond. But is Wu Pingxian the kind of person who apologizes well? Sister-in-law, I was really wrong. If you say that, I will find a place to crawl in. The sister-in-law looked unhappy, and this forgiveness was obviously not sincere. Su Meng put down her bowls and chopsticks. It wasn't that she had too many things to do, but that she was a little scared. Sister, if you have any questions, just tell me. I don't feel comfortable with you, and neither do you. There is always a feeling of being betrayed. Wu Pingxian was very happy. My sister-in-law has a strong opinion of her. Look how defensive she is. Sister-in-law, I sincerely apologize. Your attitude seems to be that I am an unreasonable and unruly woman in your mind. Su Mengxian thought, aren't you? But he couldn't tell her. She received the secret glance from her husband, and it turned out to be his sister. I know you're not. I didn't expect my sister to figure it out in one night. I'm surprised. Su Meng finished her meal, wiped her mouth, and went to pick up Zhang Xiaoxiao. Everything else can be delayed, but Dr. Jiang's affairs must not be delayed. If you delay, you will delay your son's life. I haven't seen that Xiao Keng's energy has been getting better and better lately. Now he can stand at the window and watch the flow of people on the street outside, and sometimes he can play games with them for a long time. Su Meng only hopes that her son will recover completely. At least like other children, he can run, jump, and go to school. He won't have to look at others alone. His longing eyes make people feel distressed. Are you okay? It's okay and let's go. Su Meng was talking to Wu Pingjing. The couple were going to pick up Zhang Xiaoxiao. Would never take advantage of others. Wu Pingjing put down his chopsticks and said, "Okay, let's go. Sister, brother-in-law, we have to pick up Dr. Zhang to see Xiao Cheng. You can find a program by yourself today. If you want to use a car, tell Lao Wu, she will help you arrange it." Lao Wu is the old housekeeper of their family. Wu Pingxian stood up in a hurry. "Third brother and third sister-in-law, let me go with you. I also want to meet that Dr. Zhang. Let's see who he is. He is so capable that even my third brother and sister-in-law can admire him." Su Meng was stunned and realized that Wu Pingxuan's apology was strange. It's really easy to find trouble. "Sister, please don't go. You don't like Dr. Zhang's ancestral secret recipe very much. If you go, it will be boring." Su Meng is worried that Wu Pingxian will offend Zhang Xiaoxiao. Wu Pingxian glanced at Meng Ran, and Meng Ran smiled. "Third brother, third sister-in-law, to tell you the truth, we really want to see Dr. Zhang. You also know that we have not had children for so many years, and we want to see if Dr. Zhang has any solutions. Sister-in-law, don't worry, we definitely can't offend anyone. This was something we discussed last night. Since the third brother and the third sister-in-law believe in Dr. Zhang so much, why don't we? We believe that Dr. Zhang, the third brother and the third sister-in-law, can cure all heart diseases. Maybe there is really a way to cure our infertility." Su Meng was surprised that Meng Ran and Wu Pingxian usually kept silent about their situation, but today they could talk about their infertility so openly. This is simply a miracle. But he is a sister-in-law after all. He praises Zhang Xiaoxiao as being like a flower. He has the secret recipe handed down from his family at his fingertips, which can cure almost all diseases. He also agreed to take his friend to see the infertility doctor today. It doesn't make sense that you can take outsiders with you, but you can't bring your own sister-in-law. But I am really worried about Wu Pingxuan's mouth. Wu Pingxian saw her sister-in-law's embarrassment and went up to hold Su Meng's arm. "Sister-in-law, I usually speak out loud and offend me a lot. Please forgive me. I understand that you are very convinced of Dr. Zhang. I'm going to be sure to watch your mouth. Definitely don't say anything offensive. Sister-in-law, go and give me some insights. Maybe your Dr. Zhang can really cure my problem. If I can really have a child, I will beat gongs and drums to send a banner to your Dr. Zhang. Treat your Dr. Zhang as a benefactor for the rest of your life. Sister-in-law, please help us." Wu Pingxuan's words have reached this point, and it will be a bit unjustifiable if Su Meng doesn't agree. He had no choice but to smile and pat his sister-in-law's hand. "This sister-in-law has never been so close to me since she married into this family. Well, let's go over and have a look. I just happened to tell you yesterday that a friend of mine is also in urgent need of medical treatment. He wants Dr. Zhang to take a look and see if he can have a child." The family of four set off and picked up Su Meng's friend Ning Shan. 3 cars drove to Jiang's house. Zhang Xiaoxiao was going to go to the hospital to see Xiao Cheng today, so he and Song Moding went back to the Song family to stay. Fan Qiuying and Zhang Lishi had a look of reluctance, but they also knew that there was nothing they could do about it. Their married daughters were members of their husband's family, so there was no way they could always live in their parents' home. Even if the old man and the old lady are reasonable, they cannot go too far. What's more, Zhang Xiaoxiao is pregnant now, and she is the great-grandson of the Song family. The Song family attaches great importance to Song Moding, and the couple is not unaware of it. Furthermore, Zhang Xiaoxiao was about to start school, and the medical university was close to Mrs. Song's home. It's also convenient, much more convenient than their home. Even though the couple was reluctant to give up, they gave numerous instructions and prepared to send their daughter and son-in-law away. The car was packed with a lot of things that they liked to eat when they were sleeping, and they couldn't bear to leave the house with them. Song Moding made lemonade for Zhang Xiaoxiao. Zhang Xiaoxiao liked sour and sweet things. After drinking this water, he could save 2 mouthfuls of vomiting. This is what Song Moding has researched in the past few days. Zhang Xiaoxiao now has a variety of tastes, and she likes both sour and spicy food. Fan Jiuying kept muttering, saying that sour and spicy food is a girl, and is her daughter a boy or a girl? They are also waiting for the Wu family's car. Zhang Xiaoxiao told Song Moding last night about the arrival of the old lady of the Wu family and Uncle Wu. He didn't say much else, and Song Moding didn't take it seriously. The Wu family attaches great importance to Zhang Xiaoxiao, but this Uncle Wu seems to rarely appear in front of everyone. He doesn't care about other people, he only cares about his wife and children. I never thought that Zhang Xiaoxiao and the Wu family had such a connection. End of this chapter. The lucky bag is reborn with space. Author, Floating World. Chapter 417. Chapter 417, Many Children, Many Blessings. Su Meng got out of the car and knocked on the courtyard door. Zhang Xiaoxiao was eating right now and had a bad appetite. She vomited for a while in the morning. Song Moding was afraid that she would be hungry, so he prepared some hot and sour soup for her. I learned this from my mother-in-law. Mother-in-law said the soup is most suitable for pregnant women. I saw the Wu couple coming, followed by 3 strangers, who invited them to sit in the house. Excuse me, Mr. Wu, Xiaoxiao is eating and will be here soon. Wu Pingjing knows Song Moding's identity, and their grudges with the Song family are really no longer hostile. Wu Pingxuan's face showed dissatisfaction. The shelf is too big. A 19-year-old girl is facing the Wu family. The old man and the old lady of their family, plus the medical elites of the Wu family, no one of them will be the target of others. How dare you put on airs like this? This Zhang Xiaoxiao is not a freshman in medical school. Could it be that he is so rude to his seniors? He has no etiquette at all. He seems to be a person who doesn't know what is good or bad. He doesn't even understand the principles of maintaining a minimum of connections. It does no good for young people to be arrogant. The impression of Zhang Xiaoxiao seems not to have changed much. Su Meng has placed his position very low. No matter how capable his family is, they still have to ask for help from others. This is a small gesture. A friend who came back from Nanxi brought back fresh aquatic products for Dr. Zhang to try. This basket of seafood was given to them by a friend when they came back. 5 baskets were given to each member of the Wu family. She specially picked a basket of fresh ones and brought them over. Zhang Xiaoxiao rarely has any demands and never has any rules. But as she watched her son getting better day by day, she couldn't express her gratitude to Zhang Xingxin in many ways. Song Moding took a look and said, "Thank you, but don't take anything away from me in the future. Xiaoxiao, you have already paid for the treatment. We have settled the money and money. There is no need to do this. Even if you don't do anything, Xiaoxiao he will also be responsible for Xiao Keng's medical treatment. That is the medical ethics of a doctor." As soon as he mentioned the remuneration, Wu Pingjing took out the real estate certificate in his arms. These are several storefronts facing the street. Let Dr. Zhang have time to choose between them and see which one she likes. This is the reward they promised. Zhang Xiaoxiao picked up the curtain and came out. She was next door. She would come over after eating. As soon as I heard this, I took it. A closer look reveals that the Wu family is really generous. This location is excellent, but it is a waste to open a clinic. But for her as a doctor, opening her own clinic is a lifelong wish. During those years when Zhang Xiaoxiao was abroad, he was really envious of the private clinics abroad. The facilities are excellent, the doctors are superb, and the patients are generous. In fact, combined, it is far more suitable than being in a hospital. Zhang Xiaoxiao hates intrigues and intrigues with others. It is impossible not to encounter them in a hospital like this. In my previous life, I encountered many top-notch people. According to the aura of my protagonist, if I go to work in a hospital, I will definitely have a lot of top quality. She wanted to be lazy. Then thank you Mr. Wu, let's go. Xiaokeng's condition is actually recovering very well, but Zhang Xiaoxiao made up his mind last night to use his other secret recipes for Xiaocheng. Xiaocheng should not have surgery, or not. If it were anyone else, she wouldn't risk doing this, but Xiaocheng is probably her younger brother, and Zhang Xiaoxiao's psychological balance is still a little tilted. Anyway, the ancestral secret recipe works very well, and so far the ancestral secret recipe is very convincing. No one has doubted the authenticity of the secret recipe passed down from generation to generation. Jiang's little courage became bolder. Su Meng hurriedly grabbed Zhang Xiaoxiao. Dr. Zhang, I brought 2 people here, but they didn't get your consent. Don't be angry. They just want a child. But after seeing many doctors over the years, they can't take the medicine. No amount of medicine is effective. Dr. Zhang, doctors are kind-hearted, please give them a look. Zhang Xiaoxiao has always had a good impression of Su Meng. Su Meng is very good at doing things and can bend and stretch. Apart from the unpleasantness of the first meeting, Su Meng is very measured. Hand respects himself very much, almost obeying what he says. Having such cooperative family members really made Zhang Xiaoxiao worry a lot. Since it was Su Meng's face, she was willing to give it. Okay, let me take a look first and give them appropriate treatment if possible. Jiang's small space peach is not as red as a pomegranate peach, but the effect is to have more children and more blessings. I still have a lot of peach juice saved, and I thought I wouldn't use it for the time being. There seems to be hope now. Su Meng hurriedly greeted Ning Shan. She didn't greet her sister-in-law, but looked at her sister-in-law's doubtful face. She was afraid that her sister-in-law would be bad, say something rude and offend Zhang Xiaoxiao. Ningshan is almost 50 years old and has taken good care of himself. It is a lifetime pain for a man not to have children. Wanting to have a child has become Ningshan's inner demon. But he went to many hospitals and was diagnosed as having asthenozoospermia, and the possibility of having children was almost zero. He was not willing to give in, but it was really useless after so many years. The money was spent, the medicine was taken, but the children were not. This time Ningshan was moved when he heard Su Meng talk about Zhang Xiaoxiao's ancestral secret recipe. Xiaocheng was also a person who was given a death notice by a doctor. Dr. Zhang was able to bring people back to life and rescue them by force. The secret recipe passed down from generation to generation may not be as bad as imagined. Ningshan believed that his grandfather had met an old miracle doctor back then. 3 needles and 1 medicine cured his grandfather's headache. This was the secret recipe handed down from his ancestors. If he couldn't find that expert now, he wouldn't be worried about all this. Ningshan bowed respectfully to Zhang Xiaoxiao and sat down in front of Zhang Xiaoxiao. Wu Pingxian almost snorted. Who is this person? The disease has not been cured yet. If you don't know what you are doing, you may think you are worshipping the Bodhisattva. Zhang Xiaoxiao asked about Ningshan's specific situation and also read Ningshan's examination report. As he predicted, it was asthenozoospermia. Thanks to meeting her, normally it would be impossible to have a child in this situation. Ningshan's asthenozoospermia is the most serious. There are almost no living tadpoles, and even any hospital is of no use. Current medical technology has not yet reached this level of treatment. Not even in the future. This is a typical example of infertility. Zhang Xiaoxiao thought for a while, I really have a cure for your disease. Please wait a moment. Zhang Xiaoxiao returned to the house, took out a cup and poured half a cup of pomegranate red peach juice. It seemed a bit much, so Zhang Xiaoxiao went back some more. The peaches bred by your own spiritual spring are very powerful, but too much will be counterproductive. Zhang Xiaoxiao still needs to be careful. Hand out a small half glass of peach juice. Zhang Xiaoxiao handed it to Ningshan. Drink. Ningshan took it and was surprised. So simple? There was no hesitation. I drank so much medicine, it was enough. Looking at the cup, just a little bit, it's strange that such a little bit can have an effect. It's just a small mouthful. After taking a sip, Ningshan's expression was a little subtle. The taste is sweet, with a strong peach flavor, and this unknown taste. I can't explain it clearly, but I feel warm inside after drinking it. A stream of heat rushes directly to an indescribable place within myself. Ningshan feels that it is really useful to be uncertain. End of this chapter. The lucky bag is reborn with space. Author, Floating World. Chapter 418. Chapter 418, Do you like to drink or not? When will Dr. John come to take medicine next time after finishing the medicine this time? Ningshan is a very wise man. This is a secret recipe passed down from his ancestors. This kind of medicine is generally not passed down to the outside world. People come to pick up the medicine and drink it on the spot. You don't need to take the medicine next time. Just drink the medicine once. This secret recipe passed down from my ancestors will work once you drink it. I will wait for your good news in more than a month. Zhang Xiaoxiao put the cup aside and signaled Su Meng to come next. Finish it early and go see Xiao Cheng. Ningshan was overjoyed. The secret recipe passed down by this master was actually the same as the master his grandfather met. This may sound a bit complacent, but only confident people dare to say this. It worked once and for all, he was still waiting for good news in a month. Just by saying this, he felt that he had hope this time. Not all experts are like this, only those who cheat money drink it again and again, making you keep spending money on prescription medicines. This is the difference between an expert's ancestral secret recipe and a liar's ancestral secret recipe. Then how do you think this consultation fee will be given to you? Zhang Xiaoxiao smiled, I see a doctor, I do whatever I want, and of course you can do whatever you want with the consultation fee. It's not a serious illness, but I suggest you wait for more than a month before confirming the consultation fee, so that we, Tang Su, don't be deceived, you'll get both money and goods. Although it is said that the peaches bred by the spiritual spring in one's own space are used. But no matter how much we treat diseases and save people, we cannot force others to give us a house and land for an infertile patient. She still knows the basic medical ethics. That's why there is such a free consultation fee. Ningshan even felt that he was an expert. This kind of ambition, this kind of treating money like dirt, can only be achieved by such a high-level person. People are not doing it for money at all, money is just floating clouds. Wu Pingxian wanted to sneer, but was stopped by Wu Pingjing's gaze. She is a liar. She is not unaware of asthenozoospermia. In order to have a child, she knew this aspect more thoroughly than anyone else. She had read countless books and looked up information. She had a very good understanding of her own situation and the situation of men. How else would she know that asthenozoospermia is almost equivalent to determining that a man cannot have children? Of course, asthenozoospermia can be mild or severe. If it is mild, at least the tadpole will still have some vitality. But if you want to increase this vitality, you can't just talk about it. You can say it with such a small amount of food without any shame. Waiting for good news in a month. If this is the case, what do the doctors in the hospital do? Besides, she had just looked through Ningshan's case reports, checked the reports, and could tell just by looking at the data. This man's asthenozoospermia was actually quite serious. The tadpoles had no energy at all and were all dead. Can you make a dead person come alive? That's not a joke. She was originally prejudiced against Zhang Xiaoxiao, but now she felt even more unconvinced. If it weren't for the stern eyes of the third brother staring at me. She has already started to criticize people. Now I really give face to my third brother. Su Meng pulled Wu Pingxian over and said, Dr. Zhang, this is my sister, please take a look at her too. I also want to. Zhang Xiaoxiao followed the same process. He asked about his condition, read medical records and reports, then stood up and poured out half a cup of peach juice. Here, drink. Have confidence in your own things. Since she was Su Meng's sister, she didn't say much. Wu Pingxian smelled it and looked at it. Dr. Zhang, this seems to be fruit juice if I'm not mistaken, it's peach juice. Is this your so-called ancestral secret recipe? These words are a targeted provocation. Zhang Xiaoxiao raised her eyes. She had not paid attention to Wu Pingxian because she was not that focused. She always felt like vomiting in her chest, which made her a little absent-minded. Only now did I realize that Wu Pingxian had a look of disgust on her face. This person looks very dissatisfied. Su Meng quietly tugged on Wu Pingxian's sleeve. What's going on with this sister-in-law? Didn't she agree to pay attention to her attitude before she came? This attitude is too arrogant. Isn't it questioning someone's ancestral secret recipe? Although I had doubts about this ancestral secret recipe when I first smelled it, it smelled the same, with the smell of sweet juice, and it also smelled of peach juice. But after Xiao Cheng drank it, the effect was overwhelming, which he had witnessed with his own eyes. So even if this is really peach juice, who can know what kind of formula is added to this peach juice? Perhaps people are just using peaches as a cover, and the real secret medicine is actually in peach juice. Asked in such a harsh way, doesn't it mean that you don't believe me? Dr. Zhang, I'm sorry, my sister is just weird, there's no other meaning. Hard and round. Zhang Xiaoxiao smiled, Su Meng is Su Meng, and her sister is her sister. Him will not be confused. This is indeed my ancestral secret recipe. If you don't believe it, you don't have to drink it. She is not RMB, so how can everyone love her? I'll take it back and drink it. Wu Pingxian wanted to go back and find a department to check it out. At least she could drink it with peace of mind. She would drink whatever mess she had in case anything happened. It was quiet all around. Zhang Xiaoxiao turned around and looked at her with sharp eyes. Are you here to steal the secret recipe? Wu Pingjing secretly thought that it was not good. Why could his sister be so reckless and she could say such things? She didn't know what a secret recipe passed down from generation to generation was. Take this ancestral secret recipe back. If you crack the secret recipe, what else will they rely on to practice medicine? This is a big no-no. Zhang Xiaoxiao has always been very protective of the ancestral secret recipe. Every time he gave his son the medicine, he would personally deliver it and watch Xiao Cheng drink it before going back. When he arrived at his sister's place, he actually wanted to go back with her family's secret recipe. Zhang Xiaoxiao sneered, since you don't believe it, why take my medicine back? It's a waste. Besides, I have my own rules here. All the medicine that comes out of my place must be drunk in front of me. Go down. If you don't want to drink, put the cup down and take it away. No way. Wu Pingxian's face suddenly turned red. What kind of rules are you breaking? Even if you let me drink this secret recipe passed down from your ancestors, I don't know what the side effects are. If I drink it, I will die. You can afford to take responsibility by then. She has never been slapped in the face by someone saying this in her life. Song Moding walked over with an imposing manner. Wu Pingxian was startled and couldn't help but step back. Meng Ran hurriedly went up to protect his wife. Song Moding had already taken the cup away from her hand. Whether you like to drink or not, We are not asking you to ask us for medicine. Since you don't believe it, why don't you go to others to see some ancestral secret recipe? He couldn't bear to see anyone questioning his wife. His wife's abilities still need to be questioned. It's just a joke, asking for something good that you can't even ask for. This person is blind. The cup is taken away directly. Wu Pingxian said angrily, "What kind of attitude do you have? Even if you are capable, you can't bully others. This is how you treat patients. With your attitude, you will definitely not be a good doctor in medical school in the future. I won't drink your medicine anymore. Who knows what the side effects will be? Don't let me get sick instead of treating me when the time comes. Let's go." Meng Ran had no choice but to follow his wife, who was so angry that her face turned green. I also think Zhang Xiaoxiao is a bit too arrogant. End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Lucky Bag is Reborn with Space. Author, Floating World. Chapter 419. Chapter 419 Appalling. Su Meng looked ugly and glared at her husband complainingly, knowing that her sister-in-law would cause such a thing. She herself said not to bring her sister-in-law, but her husband still doted on her. Things are better now. Zhang Xiaoxiao offended others because of his kindness. This ancestral secret recipe is given to people casually. If it weren't for the people she brought, I probably wouldn't have given it to her to drink, and she made so many excuses. This is not because he sincerely doesn't give face to his sister-in-law. He clearly knows that Zhang Xiaoxiao is seeing a doctor for his son. Now that he is making such a fuss, if Zhang Xiaoxiao has a problem with himself and is not a little bit attentive when treating his son, what will happen to his son? Manage. I feel angry and anxious. Wu Pingjing had long received the look in his wife's eyes, which was like a knife, stabbing him many times. He still doesn't understand in his heart. In fact, he regrets it to death. He didn't know that his sister was so indifferent. The conversation at the breakfast table was good. He thought his sister had reformed her ways, but who knew she would cause trouble as soon as she came here? And the commotion was so big, it was a complete tempo of breaking up. I don't even think about who will clean up the mess left behind, and it's not them who are the brother and sister-in-law. The feeling of helplessness in my heart is that her mother only has one daughter, and her brothers have been doting on her since she was a child. Who knew that pampering my sister to such a lawless level would be fine outside? After all, in the name of the Wu family, everyone gave her some. But who is this Zhang Xiaoxiao? He has the Song family behind him and Mr. Feng beside him. How many people are interested in a child? If you compare yourself with others for status and the power behind it, you are not mentally ill. No one is needed. Bring out Zhang Xiaoxiao's grandma, Mrs. Meng, who is a person in the medical field who stomps her feet and scares many people. The Wu family and the Song family have been enemies for so many years, and they have always been equally matched. Isn't it because of the high virtue and prestige of Mrs. Song? It's good now. The two families seem to be showing signs of easing up, because their sister is making such a fuss. There is really no way to clean up this scene. I didn't see how dark Song Moding's face was. It's weird for someone who is so capable to bully someone else's wife. It's weird to let others bully your own wife, but rush up and give that person 2 big slaps, and then turn around and not make his family go crazy. It's weird to apologize honestly. Wu Pingjing and Su Meng had a good understanding and stepped forward together. Dr. Zhang, I'm sorry. Dr. Zhang, my sister is not sensible. I apologize on behalf of her and you. I hope you will not remember the faults of others. It is true that Zhang Xiaoxiao was unhappy. If it weren't for the fact that she might be Wu Weiguo's daughter, this might be her so-called family member. Zhang Xiaoxiao is really good at chasing people away. There's no need to apologize. After all, you didn't do this. Besides, I'm not a god. There's nothing wrong with people questioning me. Don't worry, I won't be negligent in Xiaokeng's treatment because of this. I am a doctor. Since you are my patient, I will seriously consider my patients and help my patients cure their diseases after I receive the money. Okay, let's go quickly, I have a lot of other things to do today. Zhang Xiaoxiu's attitude was much colder. Su Meng was panicking, even though Zhang Xiaoxiao said nothing would happen. But the worry did not dissipate until the hospital. Ningxian was different. Sitting in the car, he felt that he was really different. Go back and try it with your wife. Zhang Xiaoxiao checked Xiao Cheng and found that the child was indeed recovering well. Su Meng was waiting for Zhang Xiaoxiao outside. Dr. Zhang, how are you doing? Zhang Xiaoxiao took Su Meng to the next room. Xiaokeng's body has actually returned to its best condition now. If surgery is done now, it can be done, but what? Whatever Dr. Zhang says, just say it doesn't matter, I can bear it. Su Meng was very nervous. I'm afraid something might happen to Xiao Cheng. The 1-year survival rate after heart transplantation can reach more than 90%, and the 5-year survival rate is more than 80%. People who reach 5-year survival can usually survive for a long time, so 5 years is a critical point. Everyone's physical condition is different. Xiao Cheng is so young, and now a heart transplant will do a lot of damage to his body. Even if the transplant can last for 10 to 20 years, it is estimated that this has become a limit. The surgeon who performed the surgery should have talked to you. Zhang Xiaoxiao is a surgeon himself, how could he not know this? Su Meng looked sad. Of course she knew that even if Xiao Cheng could live for 1 or 2 more years, she would be willing to do so. I know, but there is no better way now. As a doctor, I know that what I say seems a bit fanciful, but because Xiao Cheng is the first heart patient I have treated, so even if there is a glimmer of hope, I hope to let you know. I also have an ancestral secret recipe that can delay heart failure in patients with heart disease, and it can also treat heart diseases to a certain extent. Zhang Xiaoxiao didn't want to be shocking, but medicine couldn't reach a level yet, so if he said it could be done, it wouldn't be shocking. Su Meng was obviously frightened as well. At first they were frightened. After all, they had seen a lot of doctors in this field, almost all experts at home and abroad. The conclusion given by everyone is that the only treatment in Xiao Cheng now is a heart transplant, and how long one can live after a transplant really depends on each person's fate. Because each person's physical condition is different, it also determines the extent of the rejection reaction after transplantation. The smaller the rejection reaction, the greater the person's chance of survival. But so far, no one has lived too long. After all, there are not many precedents for heart transplantation. But Zhang Xiaoxiao has a way to treat heart disease without surgery. Although it is shocking, Su dreamed of Zhang Xiaoxiao's ancestral secret recipe. Xiao Cheng had already issued a critical illness notice at that time. Everyone shook their heads at the child. Everyone came to the conclusion that Xiao Cheng didn't have a few days left. It was Zhang Xiaoxiao's ancestral secret recipe that saved the child. As a mother, she watched the child get better day by day. If she didn't even believe Dr. Zhang herself, then who else could she believe? Zhang Xiaoxiao never talks about empty words. He actually speaks with his own strength. If he couldn't do it, Zhang Xiaoxiao probably wouldn't tell himself this. I would like. This matter is a big deal, so you'd better go back and discuss it with your husband. After all, not doing heart surgery is a risky thing, and I won't do it regardless of the wishes of your family. Even if I am confident, I cannot guarantee that the ancestral secret recipe will be 100% effective, but the only thing I can promise is that there is no problem in delaying the child's life for 3 to 5 years. Su Meng was overjoyed, 3 or 5 years ago. It's more exciting than the time after heart surgery. The surgeon said that after the transplant operation, it may take at most 1 or 2 years, or it may take 3 to 5 years. No one can say how long it will take. Su Meng almost ran back to the ward like a gust of wind, completely forgetting that Zhang Xiaoxiao is still here. Zhang Xiaoxiao smiled, that's human nature. End of this chapter. The lucky bag is reborn with space. Author, Floating World. Chapter 420. Chapter 420 No Surgery. Wu family. There was a whole room full of people sitting in the living room. Mr. Wu, Mrs. Wu, Su Meng, Wu Pingjing, Wu Weiguo, the eldest member of the Wu family, and Wu Fei's parents are away. The couple of days in the year are few and far between. Representatives Wu Fei, Wu Pingxian, and Meng of course. Mom and Dad, this is what happened. Dr. Zhang said that there is a way to treat Xiaokeng's heart disease without surgery. The two of us discussed it and wanted to give it a try. After Wu Pingjing finished speaking, the two of them discussed in the room for a long time, analyzing all aspects of the matter over and over again. Both of them felt that they should trust Zhang Xiaoxiao. No matter from any aspect, the strength Zhang Xiaoxiao showed in front of them was absolutely worthy of trust. All the doctors gave up treating Xiao Chang, thinking that Xiao Chang could prepare for his funeral. But only Zhang Xiaoxiao started to treat Xiao Chang after seeing it, and Xiao Chang was indeed recovering. From this point of view, this is living ironclad evidence. The evidence is in front of them. If they don't believe it themselves, they can't even convince themselves. The couple certainly know that how long they can live after heart surgery really depends on God's will. If there is a safer way, they will never let their sons take risks. Zhang Xiaoxiao said that using her method of treatment, although it may not be a complete recovery, it is no problem to maintain a life of at least 3 to 5 years. Based on this statement, the couple are willing to take this risk. This is much less risky than the consequences of surgery. Even the surgeon said that it would be a miracle if Xiao Chang could maintain his life for 5 years after surgery. They are doctors themselves. How could they not understand this statement? It is really a way of comforting them. Many people have various rejection phenomena within half a year after surgery. Then people will be gone. If you can survive for more than 1 year, 2 years is already very good. Don't say that 5 years is a hurdle. How many people have not passed this level? The medical level at home and abroad is currently the best technical treatment for heart disease, and there is no guarantee that a person can live for decades. Mr. Wu looked solemn. It was about his grandson's life, so he had to be cautious. Wu Pingxian laughed out loud, "Third brother, third sister-in-law, sometimes you two are so sick that you seek medical treatment." Although Zhang Xiaoxiao said that the ancestral secret recipe can improve the physical condition of Xiao Chang. But you can't believe everything. Can it be that this ancestral recipe, the secret recipe, is a cure-all for all diseases? You can bring Xiao Chang back to life, give birth to a child, and cure Xiaokeng's heart disease. How can you believe everything? I think her ancestral secret recipe may really enhance people's immunity and improve their physical fitness. But if you really say it can cure heart disease, I don't believe it. Our family is all doctors, not just one doctor, or 2 doctors, but the whole family is a doctor. Who hasn't learned this before? In medicine, we have never heard of such a miracle. If you don't operate on Xiao Chang now, you will miss the source of the heart this time. When you want to have surgery again in the future, there will be no such opportunity. You are not harming the child. This is definitely a simple truth that goes against scientific principles. The third brother and the third sister-in-law didn't know it. Because they were anxious, their worries about their children overcame their rationality. At this time, as family members, they should control the direction and persuade them to take the right path. Don't believe in any secret recipe passed down from ancestors. If the child is delayed, it will cost his life. It will not be so easy to find the source of the heart disease at that time. Meng Ran also agreed with his wife's idea. Third brother, third sister-in-law, Xian is right, although she is a little willful sometimes. But we all should understand this truth. You are all doctors. This simple truth should be very clear. Miss this best opportunity given the timing, it will definitely not be that easy to find a suitable heart source. It is up to you to decide which one is more serious or more serious. Mr. Wu paused. His daughter and son-in-law said it made sense. It took a lot of effort to find the source of the heart. If you miss it, it will be difficult to find again. Wu Weiguo thought of the child. Zhang Xiaoxiao was her daughter. The child was kind-hearted and would not act without aim. Wu Fei stood up and said, 3 uncles and 3 aunts, if someone else said it, I would definitely not believe it, and I would definitely stand with my little aunt to support her. But the person who said this is Zhang Xiaoxiao, so I believe it. Xiaoxiao is not a person who talks big words, she is someone who dares to say such things only when she can do it. I know Zhang Xiaoxiao very well. She is warm and kind. Although she doesn't speak well, she is definitely a good doctor. She has saved so many people, and no one has ever been at risk due to her treatment. Since she said she could cure the small town, she definitely could. This is public support for Zhang Xiaoxiao. Wu Pingxian shook her head, still having the temper of a child. Fei, don't be too impulsive. How can you guarantee that Zhang Xiaoxiao will be able to cure Xiao Cheng? If she is not cured and there is a risk in Xiao Cheng, do you think your conscience will tolerate it? That's your brother. If I were a small town parent, I'd rather take a certain risk. Let Xiao Cheng perform the operation. If Dr. Zhang is really good, Xiao Cheng will not be able to receive treatment after the operation. Why can't we do both? We must give up the operation in the small town. Wu Pingjing hesitated, his sister was right. Wouldn't it be more reliable to have surgery and Zhang Xiaoxiao's treatment at the same time? Su Meng was categorical. You don't need to say anything, I have decided that our Xiao Cheng will not undergo surgery and accept Dr. Jiang's treatment even if Dr. Jiang fails to cure Xiao Cheng, I will not blame her, this is my choice as a mother. I don't want the child to suffer. The child has been receiving treatment in the hospital for so many years. You don't know this child. Every time, he gritted his teeth and endured the pain. After the heart surgery, he was so young and his body was so weak. It was an operation, and none of us knew how painful it would be after the anesthetic dissipated. He had to bear all the pain by himself. You are not him and cannot make any decisions on his behalf, but I am his mother. I know what my child's wish is. The Dr. Zhang I see these days is a person with a benevolent heart as a doctor. If it weren't for this kind of heart, she wouldn't have been willing to agree to treat Xiao Cheng when we treated her like that. If I were her and the other person didn't trust me so much and treated me with so little respect, I would make things difficult for the other person and let the other person give me enough face, and then I would be merciful and help the other person treat their illness. Whether you call me narrow-minded or selfish, I admit that I am not a perfect person. But Dr. Zhang has none of these. Although she gave us a cold face, she never slacked off in dealing with Xiao Keng's illness. Su Meng made up his mind. End of this chapter.